Bryce Petty. Here comes another one from our esteemed producer here, Dagan Hughes. Ladies, you can see him. I think it's at Dagan Hughes, or we'll get his handle so you guys can get a chance to follow him. You should follow him. Dagan has put up another question here from Waco, Texas. Backyard bar, Bryce. You familiar with it?
Yeah.
Of course. It's one of the cool 4 bars I got in Waco. It's jumping in Waco. Interesting. Cinnamon and chartreuse. Picking it, backyard bar. Backyard bar. This is from Cinnamon and chartreuse.
Do they work in the back of the backyard bar?
Will Coach Aranda? They want to know, will Coach Aranda be our coach in 2022? So
damn.
But before you answer that, and fellas, let's just go over the landscape right now. The following places have an opening: USC, LSU, UCLA, Virginia Tech, Florida, and Washington. And I only bring those up because arguably they are all bigger than Baylor. Bigger athletic programs. Traditionally, their coaches are paid higher than whatever the Baylor coach is paid. Maybe not the success that Baylor's had over the recent years, but they are all in bigger conferences. VaTech, both Los Angeles schools, Washington, LSU, Florida, and chartreuse and cinnamon want to know, will Coach Aranda still be our coach next year?
Yeah. I mean, damn, I hope so. Right. I mean, I think they were doing the, a couple rumors out there that there were going to be a restructuring of the contract, rightfully so. Look, everything that I read and that, of the little birdies that I hear said that he does love it. But look, man, money talks. I think that, Mel Tucker and Coach Franklin can both sit there and tell us that money talks. And so look, if you're a head coach out there, I'm chasing M's because those M's are guaranteed. So I'd love to sit here and say that he's going to stay. But if LSU offers him something crazy and the guy Norman turns it down, which I think he'd be nuts to turn it down. Trevor and I talked about that on our podcast.
You think, you think Lincoln Riley is going to LSU?
Word on the street, they're going to offer him.
Let me ask you this though, Bryce. Let me ask you this though, right? So so it's a 2-part question. When's enough when it comes to money, right? Like, I mean, if you're making $6 million a year, you're making $6 million a year. If you're making $4 million a year, you're making $4 million a year. I understand it's $2 million, but like, I mean, hey man, if you're signing a 10-year contract, let's keep going. And what I'm asking you is that differentiation in value, that loss there, is that worth having to pick up? Like, let's say like your guy at Baylor has done some pretty good stuff. He's established a great culture. He's had some success, totally flipped it around. He's got that ship going in the right direction. And all the effort that goes into that, that's a lot of work, top to bottom, groundwork, day in, day out, recruiting all the way to film breakdowns and practice. Is that worth going somewhere else at like a troubled LSU right now and having to completely start over? Maybe have to do a revamp of culture, maybe not, maybe have to find some things. Like, is that worth it, right? Do you think I guess what I'm saying is, do you think there's a value in starting something somewhere and staying there and rocking with it? Do you think coaches still value that?
Look, I can't speak for coaches because I think every coach is different. I think that there's coaches that coach ball, and I think there's coaches that are culture guys. I think Coach Aranda is a guy that coaches ball. So my instinct would tell me that no, he's not going to go chase, the money, that he actually does like, Waco, what that culture is in and of itself, just the city of Waco, the town of Waco. The other thing too, man, he just, spent 3 seasons there in Baton Rouge. So it's not like it's going somewhere that he doesn't know. At the end of the day, and what we were talking about, on our podcast was the fact that, man, just like that article that came out a couple of weeks ago, dude that wrote it was talking about teaching his kid to be a failed head coach. Why? It's because there's guaranteed money in it. And that's generational money. It is what it is. And so I think that no one wants to lose. It was a hypothetical slash, really satirical article, really. But at the end of the day, the idea of what college coaching gives you and your family.
Yeah,
man, if you're a Baton Rouge guy, you're a Waco guy. If you're a Waco guy, you're Baton. I mean, I think those two cities resemble each other, not in the sense of the pressure. I'm just saying like what the money gives you, right? If you're talking about Norman, Waco, and Baton Rouge, that $1 million can go a lot longer than it can in LA, and most likely can go a lot longer than possibly Washington or some of these other storied programs. So all that being said, it's a great question, Hack, because I think that you do have to evaluate that as a head coach. If it's something that you want to build, that you want to put your stamp on and say, look, man, I like Waco, I like Baton Rouge, I like, insert here. And I like what this is. It's actually crazy enough, probably a better conversation for a Luke Fickell, right? That guy's from Ohio area, and he's going to be up for the USC job, the UCLA job, the LSU job. He's going to be up for all of them. And
he's kind of come out and publicly said that, though. I think I don't want to speak for that, but he has come out and publicly said that he's like, hey, I like it here. Like my family likes it here. I've established a culture. Right. I've kind of worked for it. Yeah. So I just think I find it interesting, man. I think there's certain guys who I could definitely peg for like money chasers, but then there's certain guys who are like, that guy gets it. He's a ball guy. I think he likes the culture, and he wants to see this through. One of those types of guys. See where it can go.
All right,
Trevor, what you got? Because I know that you got some stuff on that, Trevor.
Yeah, no, I think you guys kind of hit all the high points, but you look at, and I'll just pick out Lincoln Riley because we've talked about that in general. Lincoln Riley is a guy that is from the panhandle of Texas, Muleshoe, Texas. His wife is from there as well. So outside of his alma mater right down the road, which is Texas Tech, which is not a Tier 1 program, he's at a Tier 1 program where in-laws can drive in and see his two girls. Maybe if he's sitting on the couch at night, I would believe that his two girls love their school system. They love Norman. I think his wife, Caitlin, loves the group of people that they have around. So there's a lot more variables to it than just, hey, LSU, $4 million more or whatever it is. But again, if you're telling me that take yourself out of the coaching tree. If you're a CEO of a construction company and you're making $7 million a year, it's a global construction company, and you got another one saying, hey, you're going to do the same thing, but you're actually going to inherit a better foundation in this company because we already play in these markets, which is LSU. You're going to inherit a better group of guys in the SEC than having to transition your roster over in the next couple of years. And oh, by the way, we'll give you that better foundation in these markets that we play in, and we'll also pay you $4 million more. $4 million is $4 million, and I get it. When you're talking millions plus, Hack, you made a great point. How much is enough? But you start thinking about your kids and your kids' kids, and that's a lot of money going into that trust that can carry your family for a long time. So I think you guys both made great points. Everybody's a little bit different. A Luke Fickell, he's happy where he's at. He's got his culture down. He doesn't want to go rebuild it. Maybe Lincoln Riley, maybe one of these other coaches, hey, show me more M's and I'm on the road.
But I'm going to challenge all you guys on the money part. Yes, X millions of dollars in a Norman or a Lincoln or some of these Midwest or Southern cities is better. It's further money than the same money in an LA or Palo Alto. So markets I get, but being at your best and having the best possible team you can put together in Norman isn't the same as having a revved up machine in Baton Rouge. It's not the same. It's not the same. And we got a chance to see what that machine looks like 2 years ago when Joe Brady before he got there, Joe Burrow was seen as a 6th-round quarterback who transferred from another Power 5 program where he was only the top 3. All those werewolves, all those greyhounds down there, when you see LSU up and bowed up in its best, like there's only maybe 3 other locker rooms I could come see them. It's not the same. And I'm talking about the road to the national championship. Money's money, and these guys will get that all sorted out and situated, and it's with the ADs and the buyouts and all the rest of the stuff. But if you're Lincoln Riley, now you're in the SEC, and you're in the Shark Tank. Before, I wouldn't call the Big 12 a Shark Tank. You guys maybe a tuna tank or a marlin tank or something like that. But now that you're in with the monsters, do you want to be in Oklahoma's building trying to architect and put all this weaponry together to go get the rest of these guys? Or would you rather be walking into LSU's team room, homegrown, half the programs from 45 minutes out? I mean, and they're all werewolves. Louisiana kids stay there. If you're in Oklahoma, you got to pull from Texas to get those kids to come up from Texas to come play for you. Louisiana, they're homegrown. Walk out of your backyard, throw something, you're going to hit 3 werewolves, and all 3 will come play for you. And you're going to be able to win.
Six-time back-to-back Big 12 champion. I mean, I don't know. I see what you're saying about assembling a team, but that's a once in a decade team.
But
I mean, he's not doing that every year.
But I think George has a point that just foundationally, what he inherits if he is to go to LSU, foundationally, those guys that are freshmen, those guys that are sophomores, those guys that are coming from the backyards of Louisiana, you are more equipped for a path to the national championship. Oh, and by the way, we're also going to pay you $4 million to have a better foundation.
I think it's relative, though. Like, look who they got to go through every year.
The talent.
Like, look who they got to go through.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, you're talking about the same program that's last in the West right now.
Yeah, like, I think it's all relative.
When has Oklahoma in the last 5-10 years been the last in the Big 12? LSU's last in the West. Look them up.
Yeah, but it's the same year Wake Forest is the ACC big dog. Like, come on.
That doesn't mean anything. I get what you're saying.
But my point, though, I agree with you, George. But my point is it's all relative, though. Like, you don't have to, yeah, you can have all this. You start on the 3rd floor as opposed to the 1st floor, but you got to have 9th floor talent.
True.
To go through your schedule.
That's also true.
Whereas you need 3rd floor talent in. I'm not saying the Big 12, but I'm saying, like, relatively speaking, in a lot of other situations, you don't have to beat Alabama, Ole Miss, like Arkansas now is coming up. Like, you don't have to run through that side of the schedule.
That's
year
true.
in, year out.
And Bryce just made Hack, you're right, 100% right about where you start. The tower is different. But Bryce made another point, directly, indirectly. They're coming for you in about 3 years. If you're not banging on the door of the national championship, if you're not lurking, if your shark fin isn't circling the national championship in about 3 years, they're coming for you at LSU.
And if you're not doing it after you win it, in 2 years, they're also coming for you. You won it.
Oklahoma, look, get us some hardware. Get us a Biletnikoff winner. Get our quarterbacks up there. Get somebody in New York. You better trim off the fat in the Big 12. They're not in the Big 12 anymore. But they're not. I haven't seen them run a guy out. They've had a tremendous run of head coaches there, and it's really a legacy place. Let's just go into this.